It's a profound shift in how you carry yourself and what you value in Him. And tonight's show going to be uh, giving you exactly what that trait is, why it works so powerfully, and how you can start using it today. Okay. For so many smart, successful women, dating after 40 feels like a minefield. You start experiencing what men experience. You meet a man, the connection is electric, the talks are deep, and he tells you how different you are. You start to feel that spark of hope. Then, just when you feel secure, he pulls away. The text slow down. That future he hinted at disappears, and you're left thinking, what did I do wrong? Well, here's the secret. You probably did nothing wrong. You were just playing by the wrong rules. Okay. The playbook from your 20s is obsolete when you're dealing with a man who has a past and a completely different set of emotional needs. Men over 40 aren't looking for a project or a whirlwind romance that burns out fast. They're looking for something much deeper. They're looking for peace. They're looking for a partner. They are looking for a safe harbor in a world that's probably thrown its fair share of storms at them. Michael says tonight's show sponsored by Viagra for men over 40. If you haven't taken your blue pill today, be ready to drip it on your shoes. Oh my goodness. They got other things for that now. Okay, it was hard for me to cover this topic on the show before, but you're supposed because certain keywords typically are not acceptable by YouTube guidelines, even if they're being taught in an educational fashion. That's why when the guy came up and he was talking about retention, I didn't even put it up on a screen or talk about it because while it was a valid point and a good topic, it's just like YouTube doesn't like the first word in the phrase. But here's the thing, segueing real quick, and ladies, y'all can pay attention to this too. Men typically peak at 21 with their drive, their mojo, their testosterone levels, whatever you want to call it. And from 30 going down, steady decline. Now, some men can reduce the decline from healthy exercise, healthy eating, um, positive life choices. You can still have your libido at the age of 70. Some probably don't have any strength in their lower abdomen and it can't prevent from pissing on their shoes. And it all depends on the person. Now, a lot of guys like to take testosterone supplements and stuff to that effect, which can work. You can also take free testosterone supplements that can work, but you can also just change your diet to fish oils and other such. We covered a whole show. Me and Mr. Pibbs covered a whole show about all the different things that have natural ingredients in it, natural nutrition in it that is focused directly towards the libido. Oysters and other stuff like that. And if you had a diet revolved around increasing your testosterone levels, you would not only have less fatigue, you would not only have less aches and pains, you would be able to stand strong and be able to hold it in line so that you don't piss on your shoes. You would also increase your drive. That show, I think, is still up. And I believe I put that list in the membership before, but I think I got to find another way to talk about that and bring it back to the show again because it's been almost a year since we talked about that. But uh, instead of because Viagra was a blood pressure medicine and it was supposed to prevent low blood pressure. Now, what it does now is everything flows to the right spot, and then you have the large constriction, and that prevents you from being able to. Yes. Well, okay. You don't necessarily need the implant though. So here's another thing. Because the implant can happen from those that are getting the change, but you can also have um oh man, I was thinking about it off the top of my head because outside of the supplements, outside of the natural fruits and vegetables and fish oils and other stuff to that effect. Um, oh, the circulation. So here's the thing. Garlic thins the blood out, right? But too much garlic thins the blood out too much. Men have a problem with erectile dysfunction, and we should have a whole show about this. But the erectile dysfunction can come from stress, can come from depression, can come from fatigue, the low testosterone levels. So if you boost up the low testosterone levels, boost up the happiness in your life, reduce the stress in your life, and get you some more rest, you don't have to worry about that. The other thing is for those young bucks that are wearing their pants below their butt crack, the pants clinging to your thighs or clinging to your lower hip level. That area where your sciatic nerve is, you're cutting off the circulation to your mojo. So those dudes who think that wearing their pants sagging is cool, yeah, look, I did it when I was 16 too. But the thing is that that tight pressure around your cheeks cuts off circulation to your junk, and then you start having issues with your junk. And then alcohol also is a blood thinner. So people who drink a lot of alcohol thins out the blood, which also contributes to functionality problems. So these are things that like guys didn't know, and then when they're trying to perform, they're embarrassed because they did not know that that would negatively impact their uh, performance. Then a man's thought process can redirect blood flow because if you lose attraction in a girl before it happens, while your personal thought is, I might get laid, I might get laid, your actual emotional position is you would prefer not to get laid with this person. So no matter how hot she is, you will lose the feeling. Can't force it, it just won't work for you. Well, you've got now the ugly wife thing. There's two different ways of that. There is the specifically actually ugly looking wife, which that doesn't happen because you're attracted to the woman, so she's attractive to you when you first met her. But her attitude makes her an ugly wife because she doesn't actually look ugly. She behaves ugly, and you don't like her behavior. And again, sometimes the things that a woman says and the things that a woman does outside of the bedroom completely turns that switch off. And no matter how much you try, you're not capable of performing in that situation. So you got to really think about that for a moment. And then, likewise, even in the 70s and 80s, there are guys who do not need enhancements of any kind. If you're emotionally into this female, you can still make it work. They say use it or lose it, but truth be told, it's always there for you if you're taking good care of it and she's taking good care of you. So make sure y'all like and subscribe here. We're here. Ladies, y'all get to learn some stuff. Uh, now, the women who get this information, all right, the ones who can provide a sense of profound psychological safety, becomes irreplaceable. Now, this isn't about being a doormat or a therapist. It's the opposite. It's about a powerful, centered, and authentic way of being the most of what we're never taught in our upbringing, and I think that's going to be pretty profound. a level of authenticity that we're not used to. So if you're tired of the emotional roller coaster and men who are not looking for anything serious, then hang out right here with the channel tonight because we're about to deconstruct everything you thought you knew about mature dating and replace it with a blueprint that actually works. Now, before we can build a new foundation, we have to tear down the old one. The dating world is full of catchy tips that sound good but are fundamentally flawed when it comes to the psychological part of things. And especially when you start talking about the psychology of men in his 40s and beyond. So let's break down the three most common and most damaging pieces of advice that you've probably followed. First, excuse me, the classic play hard to get. Women are told this by their girlfriends on a regular basis. The idea is to create scarcity, to make him hunt for your affection. In your 20s, this might have been a fun, flirty game. But a man over 40, it just reads as drama and game playing. And if there's one thing a mature man is allergic to, it's unnecessary drama. We are tired of the bullshit. So think about his life. He's likely built a career, maybe gone through a divorce, co parented a kid, and handled financial stress. His main goal in a partner isn't to conquer another mountain of emotional gains, it's to find a peaceful valley. So when you're deliberately slow to respond or act aloof, his experienced mind doesn't think, I have to win her over. It thinks this feels complicated. And this feels like the chaos that I'm trying to leave behind. And he's not looking for a puzzle. He's not looking for clarity and authenticity, right? He specifically wants, I'm gonna say that again so we don't get confused. Ain't got no time for it. He's specifically looking for clarity and authenticity. He's not looking for a puzzle. He's not looking for a challenge. He's not looking for chaos. He's not looking for puzzle um confusion. The fact is that a man is not late in the game. They're not trying to win anyone over. You- You're either going to voluntarily stay here or you're not. It doesn't matter either way. Once a man reaches a higher level of confidence in himself and has made himself the level of success that he's going to enjoy for the remainder of his days, he is living whatever that life is. Now, if he has someone to share that with, all the better. But if not, his life will go on until it doesn't. So the second piece of bad advice is the opposite, but just as bad, becoming his everything. This is a nurturer trap. The advice says that if you're supportive enough, cook for him, and solve all of his problems, he'll see your value and commit. Sounds logical, but there's a huge difference between being a supportive partner and being an emotional caretaker. So when you rush into managing his life, you don't create an equal partnership, you create dependency. A healthy, mature man isn't looking for another mother, he's looking for a co pilot, someone who's going to handle the things that he doesn't have time to handle because he's busy handling something else. The kind of partner that's going to help him brainstorm multiple avenues of success from one complication. You understand? Someone who's going to help him keep things peaceful, even when chaos might start to rear its ugly head. He deeply values a kind woman, but he also needs a partner with her own life and purpose. Michael said, looking for a caretaker. It's nice to have somebody to now the thing is that a man is not going to turn away a woman that is willing to do some stuff for him, but you're going to find that somewhere down the line the man is going to clearly say, I've got this, you can go do that over there. Don't worry about this, I've got this, thank you, I can handle this, you go do that over there. They're not going to let you do every single thing that they now maybe when the relationship first starts, since a man has never gotten attention before. At first few weeks, he might actually enjoy the fact that you're pampering him a little bit. But eventually, he's going to be like, all right, it's time for me to get up, start being a man again. And he's going to step up and stop you from doing things that you ultimately felt like you should be doing to win his good graces because he doesn't need all of that. He doesn't need that extra stuff. It's nice to do, it makes a man feel valuable and respected, but that is not the ultimate goal of the man. So it should not be your ultimate goal as a woman. Now, over nurturing can trigger a man's fear of being smothered. And this is going to be when some men are going to start pushing back a little bit, especially if he's come out of a difficult marriage, a toxic relationship that most recently ended a couple of years ago. It subtly suggests that you don't have an independent life, which is far less attractive than a woman who adds to his life, not becomes it. Now, the third myth is focusing on your physical appearance above all else. And let's be real, attraction is important, but the advice often implies you must look younger and have a perfect body to compete. This creates a frantic pressure and completely misreads a mature man's priorities. While he appreciates a woman who takes care of herself, his criteria for a life partner have shifted. Years of experience have taught him that while beauty is nice, character, loyalty, and emotional connection are the bedrock of a lasting relationship. Not to mention, people get old, wrinkles set in. Where there weren't stretch marks will occur, whether she was big and got small or small and got big. Whether she was once tall and got short, or if she was short and got shorter, whether went from standing up straight to being hunched over like a candy cane. Life changes you. Okay. Michael said they want to feed me all the time and buy clothes for me. Hey, Mike, I would let them do it. If they gonna be sitting over here spoon feed, they ain't gonna be able to spoon feed me. I can't handle that part. I'm gonna have to feed myself. They can bring the food to me. I'm gonna have to put the food in my mouth myself because I got stuff to do. But I mean, they can massage my back and get the tension out the shoulders and all this other stuff. That'll work. That'll I can't even say they'll rub my feet. I don't even feel comfortable with people touching my feet. You know, they could rub everything else though. Happy ending, but it's just yeah, exactly. No spoon feeding. We can't have all that. We too old for all that stuff. But we do appreciate being prioritized, being reminded that we do matter to somebody. And now, men have learned that a pretty face doesn't guarantee a peaceful home, specifically when those men who have put a bunch of effort into trying to turn a woman for the streets into a housewife. It doesn't work. Usually, she's overly attractive, highly, how do we put this, active, and you try to lock that down. Didn't work out. No matter how beautiful a woman might be, some women have very, very bad attitudes. The same way, no matter how handsome a man can be, some men have very, very bad attitudes, very bad social skills, very bad uh, 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 partnership behaviors. Um, we don't really know what we get into until we move into their house. But then once we moved into their house, it's hard to move out, especially if it's a toxic and, God forbid, violent environment. So once we get out of that, we typically avoid the red flags that lead us to believe that this will be a repeat of the same. Studies consistently show that men in this age group rank qualities like honesty, loyalty, and a low drama personality higher than physical looks for a long term partnership. Now, for one night stand, for a weekend fling, for a summer getaway, they will lower their inhibitions and accept more physical contact. But for a long term relationship, you're only going to be in the bedroom for so long. And then once you come out the bedroom, you're going to be existing in the same place at the same time. And that's when your behavior counts. When the desire to get it on is no longer there or has taken its vacation. Confidence that comes from self knowledge is far more alluring than the struggle to look 25 forever. Not to mention, the cost to look 25 forever is going to be more damaging to a man than you looking natural and not wasting all of that money. Because even if a man can afford it, a man that in his 40s that's working towards his retirement before he's 60, or a man that's in his 50s and 60s that's trying to finish up that retirement before they're 60 or 70, those men have not reached their stopping point. They're still trying to expand, and every extra dollar that's not needed on something necessary is not supposed to be wasted on things that are completely unnecessary. Now, granted, there is still room for some entertainment, there is still room for some vacationing, some rest, stuff to that effect. But the majority, if with when you think about how much is actually spent on makeup and other such beauty products and clothes you're only going to wear one time kind of thing, you think about how that was a lot of money spent. And it works for the sugar daddies that are doing it for attention in the beginning, but uh when they're looking for long-term companions, they're not trying to impress the girl to hang out for the weekend. The girl is going to stay there whether he does something for her or not. And once you reach that point, vanity, like Michael said, is overrated. So if these common strategies fail, what actually works? To get that, we need to step into the mind of a mature man. Ah, Max, you're supposed to be in bed. It's past your bedtime. Special shout out to Max Opposer and Joe, his father. Uh, to understand what makes a man over 40 commit, Michael, Max is a long term follower, so he's good. Uh, it's good to see you, man. He should be in. Did you make it to high school yet? Yeah. His dad was like, I should have all my kids on this podcast learning how to invest. His dad had took them over to this was uh what like 8 months ago, I think 6 or 8 months ago. His dad had took to an Airbnb out of town. It was a nice house, which was a perfect example of how hard men work for their families. And you know, his son's been on the show since. So, which is why I ask you guys to be careful with your comments because every now and again, him and TF Fireball come in, and I gotta respect those that come in and learn something. Uh, but he says I got good grades now. Actually, I locked in. That's fantastic. So I'm proud of you for that, buddy. Um, shoot, his dad should have been signing up. I could have taught him some stuff. I teach all the subjects. I teach outside of this podcast. Were you just trying to pull my leash? My finger was starting to itch. Oh yeah, look, hey, as soon as he started commenting, I was like, Michael's gonna get him. I was like, nah, Michael, hold up. Hold up. He's good. He actually contributes to the podcast. He shows a lot of support. with his allowance, might I add. So he's all right. He doesn't do too much. Do you like 67 mangoes or 41 eunuch? Uh, Actually, if you take strawberries and bananas and blend those together, you can make a really good smoothie if you use some of that rich French vanilla yogurt. Uh, Mangoes make you a pretty good juice, but uh, we can't really do much with 41 units. So yeah, let's get back into it. Nah, we haven't made the grimace shakes. But we with our Fit Chef recipes, we have been making some weird stuff every I try to say 6 weeks now because I actually made some quesadillas, some chicken quesadillas. I made a stir fry out of mixed vegetables and baked chicken, and I forgot to record it. And after I messed everything up, and then uh, uh, I made like 3 meals this past month, and I was like, dang, if the cameras were set up, I could have made 3 videos and put them up there and added it to the food anarchy that Usman was telling me about with the podcast. So we're still working on up. There it is. It flickered on, and flickered back off. So we haven't talked about taxing though. There's TF Fireball. Is a casino good investments? I don't even know if you can invest specifically in a casino because, from what I understand, casinos are not publicly traded. But if you became a partner in a casino, you would have to be a high stakes investor to become a partner in the casino, where you would invest. But I mean, an already active casino doesn't really need your money. They've got plenty of money from their customers. Some people call themselves investing in a casino when they go and play and lose their money, but it's not really a good investment. It's just a waste of money. Well, I mean, you can if you want to. Uh, that's up to you. Just going to the casino, play rain bet. Nah, I'm not gonna play rain bet. We shouldn't do that. You should invest because you're above the age of when Trump is going to be giving kids $1,000. So But back to the main topic. Well, if you get anybody, well, you're only going to be successful with that once or twice, and then after you do that, you're going to end up with child support. And when you can't afford child support, you're going to be in and out of jail, so you're not going to be rich anymore, and you're going to have too many legal problems on your hands to be able to pay attention to hanging out with anybody else. Either you're pretty super rich, don't it wouldn't matter. Well, actually, I take everything that you guys give me and I put it on a podcast so that I can reach more individuals. Because special shout out to Bangladesh. We're actually Bangladesh, India, um, Kazakhstan, and what was it, Rwanda, and a few other countries that's been able to see us now because of any of the contributions that we get. It's I've never seen Uncle without a headset. Well, I have a headset I have a headset, but I've upgraded. So you used to see me with the big gamer headset on because the gamer headset was it had the surround sound and the good mic with the noise cancellation, and then I upgraded to more of a it's a cranial headset, and it allows me to hear without actually having something in my ears or covering my ears. And then it also has the microphone right here on the side of my face, which actually blends in with my sideburns, so you don't actually see them. Uh, mm, don't know. I would say invest in technology over mangoes and mustard. Now back to the main topic. To understand what makes a man over 40 commit, you have to understand the landscape of his life. So he is the same person he was at 30 because men don't change that fast. His priorities have been reshaped by decades of experiences, both wins and, more importantly, the extreme losses. So the first and most of this landscape is the presence of his past. This seems obvious, but its impact is huge. Now, a man in his 40s has a history, and that history is a set of emotional data points that guides his decisions now. So he has likely gone through at least one major heartbreak. I would expect, because men who start interacting with women as low as 15 or 16 years old typically experience heartbreak every 3 to 6 months, uh, till they're in their 20s, and then they start experiencing heartbreak every year, sometimes for 3 to 6 month periods out of the year because they don't know how to get out of those relationships. And then in their 30s, they have less relationships, but they also experience that emotional devastation upon rejection of every entanglement that they try to get into a relationship with. Uh, Max, Michael's old enough to be your grandfather, guy. You gotta show him some respect. um, and then again, uh, by the time they get to like 40 and 50, I mean, they have definitely gone through their fair share of heartbreaks. So maybe even those gut wrenching divorces that's been there, that experience is not just a story, it's an active program running in the background. So you got to understand that these guys will trigger, and you start tap dancing on their emotions, they'll start tap dancing on your face. Or just walk away one way or another. It's not good. Um, what he said, if you had kids and good into put the child support on red. Mm, no, you don't. You don't. That doesn't work like that. So what happens is when you get put on child support, they garnish your wages, which means they take money out of your paycheck before you even get paid. They can seize your assets. They can block the vehicle registration, which suspends your driver's license, put a warrant out for your arrest, put you in jail, have you do a community service. Every time you get arrested, that's a felony or misdemeanor that goes towards your name, where criminal background checks prevent you from renting properties anywhere. Then, because you can't find a place to live because you have an arrest record, you end up homeless and unemployed, because when you go to jail for child support, you're typically in there for 3 to 6 months or longer, and if you miss 2 or 3 days from work, you get fired. Um, and yeah, it's a big hassle. It really destroys your life. So we typically try to avoid that. Now, a major heartbreak instills a deep, often subconscious fear of repeating that pain. And the more recent that major heartbreak has happened, or the more frequently that the heartbreak has happened, that is going to lead to his responses and reactions. Now, a man is going to uh, constantly scan for the red flags that suggest a repeat of his past traumas. And that's why things that seem small to you, like a little drama, some inconsistencies, the thrills in what is otherwise a mundane and vanilla relationship, the game playing, can feel like a massive warning sign to him. I've told ladies before, do not compare the current man with other men in the past, and do not emphasize to other men that he might be behaving like this with a bunch of other women. When you're engaging a man, especially men in their 40s, your goal is to assume that you are the only woman, because if that is not your assumption, you shouldn't be talking to this guy. Either way, the way and here's another thing, because I know a lot of women do this. Um, when a guy offers something, a kind gesture of some sort. Women usually will giggle and, oh, I bet you say that, or I bet you do that for all the girls, you know, which might be a way of flirting where his sincerity is reinforced, implying that this is exclusive to you, and that might be your fish finding expedition where you're, digging into a scenario to, try to make sure that he's serious about what he's doing. But for guys over 40, that's an extreme turnoff because let's be honest, the first time you do it is not going to be the last. Each time you feel a certain way about a new person, there are going to be certain characteristics and behavior patterns that you're going to redo. There's going to be certain words and certain phrases that uh, you would say, like even pet names. We with the baby and dear and darling and all the common names that most relationships have. You're not going to be able to say that the person that you're saying I love you to over 40 is the first time you've ever said that. How you say it and the way you express that is not going to be unique. So uh you're not going to express yourself with a mature man by implying that his actions and behaviors are not genuine, or by implying that his actions and behaviors are extremely common amongst all social atmospheres, and then also recommending that, you know, he kind of switched things out. All right, hold on. These guys are going crazy. Y'all so slow down, guys, because y'all need to tighten up. Michael said, I never gamble. I do my homework, which is a smart way to go, and I take the risk out of the equation, which is how mature men actually invest. And we only invest in surefire things. We do not do too much seed money investment because we don't have any money to lose if they don't win. Uh, when we're throwing our money down on a blue chip company, I mean, if we lost pennies, we lost $5 on the trade. We lost, well, that's it. We're not losing millions of dollars. We would get hundreds of thousands of dollars back. Microsoft is worth investing in if you haven't picked up your core satellite portfolio, you can throw Microsoft into the fold. It is a pretty good growth stock. Um, but we did give you different other stocks that you can invest in because BDAI is less than $7 or less than $10 a share right now. I last seen it at like 780. But I don't know. It could have changed because I haven't taken the time to check the stock market today, which is why the stocks haven't been up there today because we do have the stocks that we're trading on right here. Uh, I just have to update them. Do you visit CP because you said you have many files of it. What are your thoughts? I have all of the stocks that you should invest in right down below. Now, um, when we're dealing with those negative relationships, they are echoes of the chaos that he has sworn off. So, well, he says CP, well, crypto. I'm not sure what you're talking about investing in CP because I have not seen that before. I don't know what ticker that is. I have a lot of oh. Oh, okay. You're being slick. Nice wordplay with that one. You should definitely invest as much as you can in that. Now, uh, the needs of a mature man is going to be for the loyalty. And this isn't just a preference, it's a primal drive to protect a heart that knows the cost of getting it wrong. The second critical element is the shift from a desire for excitement to a craving for peace. So in his younger days, he might have been drawn to fury, the spicy, sassy woman, unpredictable passions. But after decades of his experiences, he has defined a good life as something that is not chaotic. and a good partnership has evolved in his expectations. So life has already given him plenty of drama. He has stress from work, finances, maybe kids, grandkids. The last thing he wants is for his new relationship to be another source of stress. He isn't looking for a woman to keep him on his toes. That's not the thing. He wants a woman who can help him feel grounded, help him remember the shit that he forgot. He wants a home to be a sanctuary, not a battleground. And I've been telling women this all the time because when King Arthur left his kingdom to his queen, he did not have a rebellion or an uprising in his kingdom. We have never had a scenario where a because we're always taught that a house divided never stands, but we always find ourselves getting into a relationship where we are at chaos with our partners. So, how can we be successful in life if we spend more time fighting with our partner instead of our partner helping us fight against the society or fight against the finances or fight against the stressors that are outside of our relationship? This is why a woman who is emotionally stable can communicate her needs calmly, and that is incredibly attractive to a man over her looks. So she would be representing peace. Now, the third psychological driver is his evolved provider and protector instinct. This isn't just about money. In his younger years, providing might have meant showing off with his money. Now it means providing stability, security, and emotional support, which is going to be the full definition of vanilla and boring. Okay. And stable is boring, ladies. Protecting is about protecting the peace of his home and the sanctity of the relationship. A mature man wants to feel needed, but not in a draining way. He wants to feel like he can make his partner's life better when a woman shows that she is capable and self sufficient, but also gives him space to contribute and be her hero in small ways. It activates this deep masculine drive. He doesn't want a damsel in distress, but he also doesn't want a woman who is so fiercely independent that she seems to have no need for him at all. Uh, the women who can be both strong and soft sparks, a language that his mature soul has been waiting to hear. Under these pillars is the key. So once you know what he's truly seeking, you can stop the superficial tactics and start cultivating the one trait that speaks directly to these core needs. Now we've cleared away the bad advice and explored the mind of the mature man. Now we can get to the heart of it. The one trait that makes a man over 40 not just what you want, but decide that he can't live without you. This is going to be a pretty steep stepping stone of information. So grab a pen and paper. It's not being mysterious, a better cook, or having a more impressive career. The single more powerful unorthodox traits is what I call empathetic autonomy. Um, I'm going to tell you that looks don't matter. That's my opinion. So let's break that down. Autonomy means that you are a whole, complete, independent person. You have your own life, passions, friends, and purpose. You aren't looking for a man to complete you. Your happiness is your responsibility. Now, this is a foundation. It signals to him that you aren't a risk for codependency and that you are choosing him from a place of want, not need, because we understand that there is a large quantity of individuals that specifically need that savior scenario. They're looking for that financial stability, something to supplement their income, increase their social status to a new level, and they need demand, not just want demand. And that's why when we were talking about first dates, we were telling guys that if you lead the first encounters with your wallet, the ladies will chase the wallet when they have no interest in the man. And when the wallet operate, you lose that. But all the money that you invested in a woman that is chasing the money is resources wasted, which is why we say keep your money in your pocket. Because even at a young age, when girls get to experience life for free or at a reasonable discount, they're more willing to entertain that than to pay the cost to take charge. Now, autonomy alone can feel cold. And this is where the second half comes in. The truly unorthodox part is empathy. This isn't just any empathy, it's the active, non judgmental acknowledgement of his life and his history kind of empathy. So, empathetic autonomy is the ability to be strong in your own life while creating a safe, judgment free space for him to be complete, and you will be able to experience his true self. It's the ultimate paradox. So you are completely independent of him, which allows him to feel completely safe with you. Y'all gotta chill. You sitting over here. If you're buying the $500 a month membership, uh, if you're buying my membership for $500 a month, that's worth it to me. But to you, if you're coming to the show on a regular basis, getting all the information in the membership, you'll benefit from it. You'll learn how to invest and build your college fund. Well, you got to go to the membership and read all of the information that's there. Yeah, it is very expensive, but that requires for you to go and take a look because there's a lot of detailed information in the membership about what it contains. And, talk to your dad about it because since you're not over the age of 18, you should definitely get your parents' approval before you start spending $500 on anything. Never get a casino membership. That's a waste of money. Now, why is this so unorthodox? Uh, most dating advice teaches one of two extremes. Either you lose yourself if his life is going to be catered to if you're the nurturer, or you become so guarded that there's no room for empathy where you become the ice queen. Um, finger itching. Finger is itching. All right, guys, y'all gonna have to tone it down because Michael is the moderator and he will block you guys if you're continuing to overload the comment section with unnecessary comments. So he has been very patient over the past 15 minutes, but we typically have intelligent conversations about serious topics here, and we're having a serious conversation at the moment. You are free to participate in it appropriately, but you're going to have to tone down some of the extreme comments, guys. I'll never be able to join again if I'm blocked. I know. That's why I'm telling you to calm down. He could push the button. He could put you in a 10-minute timeout, but he could also uh, he could also hit that permanent button. That wrench right there, that you see that hold on, you see that wrench right there? He's controlling how many people are in this comment section inappropriately. How long will it block me for, bro? I'm an OG for you. I understand that, but Michael is the moderator. So, uh, as an OG viewer, I'm asking you to be a little bit more respectful for some of the guys that have been coming in consistently and showing support for the podcast, because you're overloading the comment sections with nonsense. And we're trying to enjoy an intellectual conversation and provide you guys with some much needed advice. So I understand that you my day one, and that's why I asked him not to block you when you first started. But it's been about 20 minutes, so I'm asking you to slow it down some. That we can have a reasonable compromise. We know that sometimes that y'all come in to play around and have a good time, but there's only so much of it, because again, this is an adult podcast, and we're all men over 40, and we're all talking about investing, making money, saving money, and having peaceful lives, which includes having a peaceful life in the comment section. And we're talking to and with women on this channel that are learning how to improve their relationships with their husbands and boyfriends and their fathers. And we're having discussions about improving our decision making. So, I'm just asking you guys to show some respect. I understand that y'all been here for almost a year now. Y'all been some of my day ones from the very beginning, and I really appreciate what y'all have done and contributing to the podcast, with your presence and even your donations. I really appreciate that. But I am going to remind you that Michael is the admin, and Michael will put a stop to your comments if your comments continue to overload the comment section like that. I'm just letting you know that's his choice. If he gives you a 10-minute timeout, or if he gives you a 30-minute timeout, or if he just blocks you altogether, it's he's the moderator. So I'm letting you guys know that without me pushing a button, you will not have access to the podcast. So I'm just asking you to chill out a little bit. Can you be 41 and date in the future with current situations? And do you know who Gabe Horn is? I have no idea who Gabe Horn is. In the future situations, we might have Michael. You've seen the robot companions that they're making right now. In the future, in 41 years, most people are probably going to have one of those intelligent girlfriends, and that's the Model 2, and then Model 3. They're going to have the hunky guys come out of the woodwork after that, and then most of us are going to have either a robotic partner or a Alfred from Batman. The butler that went everywhere with him. Everybody's going to have their like Sarah Jane Chronicles, where they're going to have a robot going with them everywhere. Talking about some socially inept. We're going to really be socially distanced by that time. At your age, you should get the stocks down below with your father's consent. We used to write down that entire list of 50 stocks, and you should start with the cheapest ones first: Orchid Island, AGNC, PSCC, and work your way up. The first 15 or 20 stocks with the highest percentage yields at about 18%, 20%, that should be the ones that you start with. And then you slowly migrate out. Once you start feeling comfortable at about 20 to 25, you can stop. But if you really want to go further, you're going to be reducing your risk, but you're also going to be reducing your percentage yield, because there's very few stocks that are operating at 18 to 20% return. Most of the stocks are operating 15 or under. So if you have the majority of the stocks that you capture that are doing a 15 to 20% or 25% return, if you can hold on to that, that's what I would recommend that you holding on to at your current age. And taking your allowance money and putting it towards that, and letting that roll over until you're grown. By the time you get out of high school, you should have enough money to pay for your college tuition. And yeah, because with everything that's changing with the government right now, you would not have the same free rides that we had when we were your age. So it's a good idea for you to take a look at some of the other shows that we have about investments so that you can um, learn how to take your allowance money, because the stocks that I have down below, the majority of them are stocks that pay you back. So that means that you put your money into the stock option, and then what happens is once the dividends start being produced, you will start getting a paycheck from your stock options. So instead of getting allowance money from your dad, you can take whatever he gives you, put it into the stock market, and have the stock market giving you monthly money. You know what I mean? And that's way more than relying on somebody else as a source of income. You missed the episode that I started the show without the glasses on. Didn't last long. It was only like 45 seconds. With over 8 billion humans on the planet, does it seem more isolated today? Yeah, actually, we have most of us don't leave the house unless we have to go to work. Um, the rich people leave the house to socialize and network with other people so that they can make more millions. But the rest of us stay at home. We don't go anywhere unless we have something to do. Um, and then you have some people, they'll find themselves in bed all day, every day with nothing to do, no motivation to get out of bed to do anything other than eat and go to the bathroom. And yeah, that becomes life. So the most interaction that a lot of us have is on social media, which is why I give the kids a little bit of playtime in the comment section, because I mean it's better than them playing around with other kids' Glock switches and stuff. But yeah, we are. So I think COVID was the excuse and the catalyst to mainstream social isolation. So now we spend more time bonding over technology, which is artificial, and we're not even bonding in real time, being able to have a communication with one another. Because while there is an opportunity for those individuals to click the link and come on and have an adult conversation, for at least those of you that are over the age of 18, uh, most of us will have, you're listening to me, but I'm reading what you said. Where this, we can actually probably fit about 8 people in this in this 16 by 9 window, and have a pretty big conversation. The fact is that we don't even lean towards virtual communication a lot of the times. We do a lot of texting and watching videos and really maintaining a level of isolation. So it's crazy. The is I was in Peru for that 3 months that I never joined your live. Oh, see, his dad took him to Peru. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. No, negative behaviors kill family gatherings, because COVID forced families to live in the same place at the same time for almost 18 months. And once we realized why we were tired of one another, we COVID stopped. We was like, hell no, I'm not going back over there. I'm gonna have COVID flashbacks. The trauma of being trapped in a house with somebody you don't like. And you really realize how much you don't like them when you can't leave. It's like being in the elevator with your worst nemesis, and the elevator ain't moving. Oh boy. Now, empathetic autonomy is going to be a masterful path between being an ice queen and being the nurturer. It's the unorthodox uh, viewpoint, because you give something without giving yourself away, and you give him the gift of your understanding without taking on his baggage. Uh, no, the US GDP is not going to fall. The US GDP is actually going to go up, but by a lot. Um, After we start controlling TikTok, switch your TikTok accounts September 5th. That's sometime next Wednesday, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. Now, you see the man's past wounds, but you don't try to fix them. You acknowledge the man's responsibilities without complaining, which is a huge factor, ladies. You understand his need for space without taking it personally. Now, this combination is devastatingly effective because it addresses his deepest needs and fears at the same time. So your autonomy calms his fears of being smothered or burdened, and your empathy satisfies his craving for peace and psychological safety. Now it tells him that you see all of him and his history and his flaws, and you're also not scared of it. You observe him as being safe with you the way you would be observed of being safe with him, which will be a new dynamic because right now we've got women swearing up and down that they would feel safer with the bear than a man, when a man would lay his life down defending a stranger from the bear. The logic is flawed. And it's funny because when that question started coming out, it was so they compared because bears are extremely dangerous. Like it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you are up against a bear, especially in a bear's territory where that bear has cubs, they will not hesitate to eliminate you. So when the question comes out, would you prefer to be in the woods with a bear or a man? I don't know if women are thinking about Yogi Bear or, what's his name? Not Mr. McGruff, Smokey the Bear. I don't know what bear they thought they were getting. Yogi Bear, Winnie the Pooh. I don't know what bear they were thinking about, but I was sitting over here thinking like they are tiptoeing on some other stuff. He said, remember to like and subscribe. Off to a safe sales in the morning. Enjoy the weekend. Oh yeah, we got to give him some homework for the weekend. We didn't give him any homework. We didn't give anybody any homework this weekend. We should. I'm gonna think of something over the weekend. We're gonna give you guys a challenge for you guys to improve yourselves for the upcoming week. But when they tell us about the bear situation, it's like it doesn't really work out. But when a man who has been through the ringer of life meets a woman who offers this mix of strength and safety, it feels like coming home. He can finally exhale. He doesn't have to perform or walk on eggshells. He can just be this um, normal person that he wants to be. And it's not a passive trait, it's an active choice. When you master this behavior, you become the woman he compares all other women to because you offer the one thing that he was desperately searching for, which is a partnership that feels both liberating and deeply secure. Understanding uh, empathetic autonomy is the first step. Embodying it is what transforms your love life. And this is a trait that is built on three actionable pillars. So now we're going to run through these real fast. Practice radical authenticity wrapped in kindness, genuine kindness. This pillar is the core of your autonomy. Radical authenticity means that you are unapologetically yourself. You have opinions, passions, and standards. You're not a chameleon, so you're gonna do what you want to do the way you want to do it to a degree. A mature man has a fine-tuned radar for phonies. Being genuine is far more attractive than being agreeable and fake. However, this authenticity must be wrapped in kindness. This is the empathy part. So you deliver your truth without aggression. So you're not dominating your man. It's the difference between saying you're never making time for me and saying I feel most connected when we have consistent quality time. There's a big difference between the two. Um, yeah, you can invest in marijuana if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. it's a growing market that has high returns as of late. And when he starts lowering regulations, you're going to see um, a lot more unorthodox distributors producing marijuana. Your local neighborhood drug dealer might get a permit to sell his weed to you. Now, planning to date and working on date night each week is really important to the relationship, and you're going to ask him, how can we make that happen, instead of just complaining that you don't have enough time for yourself. When you state that your needs and um, expectations are not being met, and then offer to invite him in a collaboration to meet those needs, this shows that you can advocate for yourself without creating conflict, a skill essential for a peaceful long term relationship. Because a lot of times, again, men are inconsiderate while women are selfish. So when a woman wants more time with her man, instead of getting in front of the gaming console and causing him to mess up on his game, she can wait until he gets off of the game and then ask him if he can dedicate some time to her off of the game. And he should be able to pick time where, if he decides that he's going to play the video games while you're asleep, he can give you the time that you need until you fall asleep. And then when you fall asleep, he's going to go and play the game. But until you mention to him that the lack of connection that you guys have is a result of his tunnel vision towards his gaming hobby, he will then realize that he has not been paying attention to you the way he should. But it wasn't something that he thought about before because he was trying to conquer this specific level on the game. GTA 6 should have come out, and if it hasn't come out, it will be coming out. And when it does, most grown men over 35 are going to be on that game. Heck, most men under 50 are going to be on that game, and the children are going to be on that game. Now, pillar number two, become a safe space communicator by championship efforts in controlling his history. So you're going to be creating a big safe space here. Now, safe spaces is what I've told you ladies before: fully transparent, non judgmental, non retaliatory, non resentment, non reactionary space where he can say appropriately whatever he wants to say and do appropriately whatever he wants to do in this safe space. And you're not going to make him feel weird about it. And I say appropriately because his actions are not supposed to cause harm to you or enact fear in you in any way, shape, or form. Uh, but, whatever his concerns are, he should be able to get those out in an appropriate fashion. Now, this pillar targets his need for psychological safety. A man over 40 has a history, whether it's an ex wife, kids, or regrets. The typical approach is to see this as baggage. The empathetic autonomous takes a different path. She's going to be a champion of his history. This doesn't mean that you have to love his ex. It means that you accept his past as what forged the man that he is today. So if he divorced his wife and still had to be friendly with his wife for 10 years because his kids weren't old enough, now that his kids are grown, they may have developed a friendship outside of the divorce that allows them to still communicate with one another. And that doesn't mean that he has a toxic ex lingering around him at 45, 50 years old because they divorced in their early 30s, but they found a way to get along. You respect the fact that he still communicates with his child's mother. You understand? So you treat his history with respect. When he talks about a co parenting struggle, you don't roll your eyes, you listen. You might say, that sounds really challenging. I respect how you're handling it. You don't have to provide solutions. Sometimes he's just venting. But I mean, if you do have an unorthodox solution that he didn't think about, you could probably throw that in there. If you become a safe space communicator, this will mean that he can talk to you without fearing anything that you'll do, such as make it about you, offer unsolicited advice, or hold it against them later, because that's some of the common things that men have experienced in their past. And this is an incredibly rare scenario where we're not experiencing one of those three responses. By not trying to fix his problems, just listening to what he has to say, you give him the space to solve them himself, feeling your unwavering support. Now, if he asks you, what do I do? Or I don't know what to do, this is confusing me. In that scenario where he's trying to figure it out, you might be able to offer up some unexpected solutions, but you're not coming up with the common ones like have you talked to her? Of course he's talked to her. That's why he's pissed off right now. you know, but make sure that you wait until you hear those I don't know what to do, what do I do statements. Because otherwise, if he's just saying it really gets me mad, or she pisses me off, or she knows how to grind my gears, she said this, she did that, she did this, you know, seeking advice is I have this problem and I don't know how to fix it. That's kind of different. That's when you're able to kind of ask, would you like my advice before just throwing it in there? See what I'm saying? Now, this builds a bond of trust far deeper than the one built on romance alone. So he starts to associate you with a feeling of relief, and you become indispensable. The difference between women that are there for a season versus there forever are the ones that are not expendable. The ones that are not expendable are there forever. I did not know who John Park's podcast is. Pillar number three, you're going to cultivate a shared purpose beyond the romance. Now, this is the dating pillar that turns uh, life from just simply dating into a lifetime partnership. A mature man is looking for a teammate, while romance is the spark. A shared purpose is the log that keeps the fire burning for decades. So this doesn't have to be a world changing mission. It could be a small but significant uh, activity. It's about finding an us versus the world project. Maybe it's training for a 10K, taking a cooking class, or planning a garden renovation. It could be investing in stocks and bonds and Bitcoin and trying to raise $1 million. It could be building that trust in a third world country so that you can be beneficiaries of your investments. Like something that is a long term goal that you both work on together. This activity itself is less important than the dynamic it creates. Because when you work towards a common goal, you become a unified team. You see how he handles stress and collaboration. This builds a different kind of intimacy based on mutual respect and shared achievement. The same way you see in all those action movies where enemies form bonds in the heat of battle, where they're catching each other's backs, and by the time the conflict is over, they're best buds. Where the shots they were taking against one another in friendly fire turned into friendly banter with one another as comical jokes. If you guys are working together, you're not fighting. It shifts his perception of you from a girlfriend to a potential life partner, which qualifies you more to the wife scenario, second wife, third wife scenario. This is what men mean when they talk about wanting a full partnership, a connection that is a deep, abiding alliance. Now, Are you starting to see how these pillars create a completely different dynamic? This isn't about chasing a man, it's about becoming the kind of woman a highly qualified, high valued man would never want to leave. I know putting this into practice can be challenging, and you might wonder, what does this actually sound like in a real conversation? To help you put together a free guidelines, you're going to see some of the stuff in the membership where you'll see us working towards building scripts for safe spaces. You'll be able to go through our membership and see word for word scripts, conversation starters, text examples that shows you exactly how to implement empathetic autonomy, giving you a language to express your authenticity with kindness, champion his history without judgment, and introduce the idea of a shared purpose. Now, this is going to be a powerful tool that will help you guys turn the knowledge into real world results. And the theory is one thing, but action is another. So I want you guys to share with me your stories about a client or uh, an individual that uh, we'll call her Sarah. The perfectly shown power shift to empathetic autonomy. Let's talk about that for a second. Sarah was 48, a successful marketing executive, and deeply frustrated. She came to me after a painful 6 month relationship with David, 52. And it was a classic story that she said he came on so strong. And he was looking for his life partner that she wasn't uh, expecting to be everything that he wanted, and she believed him. Now, following the conversation with Sarah, we had conventional advice: try to be the perfect partner. Was the effort that she decided to put up, and she was always available for him. She read up on his hobbies. When he complained about work, stress, or drama with his ex wife, she spent hours brainstorming solutions for him. She was playing the ultimate nurturer when she was doing this stuff. And for a bit, it worked. But then he grew distant. The good mornings, the text stopped. He was too busy. Uh, when she asks what was wrong, he just says, nothing, just a lot going on. And finally, he ended it with the classic lines that you're an amazing woman, but I'm just not ready for a relationship right now. And, Sarah was devastated. She did everything for him that she thought she was supposed to do. And she couldn't realize what would cause him to just walk away. So I explained that she hadn't been in a relationship, that she had uh, auditioned for the role of his support staff. And her constant problem solving, while well intentioned, had smothered him. She had lost her autonomy. And a few months later, Sarah met Mark. It was a 50-year-old man. He was an architect. And this time, she had a new playbook, an empathetic autonomy playbook that we were explaining to him. And on their first few days, Sarah focused on a radical authenticity wrapped in kindness, which was our pillar number one. And when Mark asked what was she looking for, she didn't give him a vague answer. She said calmly that she was at a point where she was looking to build a deep connection and long-term partnership. And she explained how having fun dating was good, but that her ultimate goal was, a long-term partnership. Would you believe what Mark's response was? He respected that. The honesty was perceived as very refreshing. So as they got to know each other, Mark shared that he was dealing with an elderly parent Sarah's old instincts would have been to jump in with solutions, but instead, she practiced being a safe space communicator, which was our pillar number two. And she just listened. When he finished, she simply put her hand on his arm and said, "That's a heavy weight to carry. And thank you for sharing that with me." You could see the tension leave his shoulders. He later told her, "It's incredible talking to you." He felt like, he could just say what was on his mind without her trying to fix it. And she was his sanctuary, not his project manager. At the same time, Sarah maintained her own life. She kept her yoga classes and friend hikes. And when he asked her out last minute, she politely said, "I'd love to see you, but I already have plans. So how about Sunday afternoon?" Her autonomy was clear. She wanted him, but she didn't need him. Finally, after a couple of months, Sarah brought in that pillar number three, cultivating a shared purpose. She noticed a dusty telescope in his living room and asked about it. A week later, she texted him a link to a beginner astronomy course, a shared project she wrote. We could be terrible at it together. What do you think? This was a turning point. It was an us thing. On the second night of the course, under the stars, Mark turned to her and, explained to her that everything's different with her, and he felt more himself. And having not experienced this for years, and now that he's at peace, you know, when he's looking at her, he's not interested in seeing anyone else and wanting to build a life with her. That is what Sarah wasn't expecting. She didn't chase, fix, or pretend. She just stood firmly in her own life while offering him a safe harbor of empathy. She became the woman he couldn't imagine a future without, not because of what she did for him, but because of how he felt with her, accepted, respected, and free. Now, that is the power of the empathetic autonomy. So the story of Sarah and Mark isn't just an anecdote. It demonstrates established psychological principles that effectiveness of empathetic autonomy, which isn't magic, it's science. Uh, research shows that as men age, their romantic priorities evolve. While younger men may be more visually driven, older men increasingly prioritize qualities that lead to long-term stability and emotional fulfillment. So your autonomy directly appeals to this evolved desire for a stable, low drama partner. Dating profile analysts constantly find that men over 40 want a partner who is happy, positive, and has their own life. And for a man who has experienced a messy divorce, your independence isn't a threat. I mean, your self sufficiency would be less of a threat, but too much independency will be seen as a red flag. However, a moderate level of independence or self sufficiency is a profound relief. It signals that you are an equal, not a dependent. So now let's look at the empathy components, which is arguably the most potent part. The importance of loyalty, trust, and emotional safety for a man over 40 can't be overstated. Many have been hurt in the past and need a partner who is trustworthy. Research highlights that loyalty and commitment are critical factors for marital stability. So when you practice non-judgmental listening, you are giving a powerful demonstration of loyalty in action. So you are communicating your past, and your past is not a weapon to be used against you. You are in a safe space with this person. This builds trust at an accelerated rate, which is a cornerstone of what psychologists call a mature love, one defined by stability and the ability to weather life's challenges as a team instead of chaotic banter with one another. He said, "Would you rather buy a property in Egypt or invest in cardigan?" Nah, I would invest in properties in Egypt because Egypt is very expensive, so there's going to be a higher return. Finally, the pillar of shared purpose beyond romance speaks to the psychological need for teamwork. Psychologists note that committed partners see themselves as a team, strengthening their desire to stay together. By suggesting a shared project, you move the relationship from casual dating into a long term alliance. Think about it. Woman A is attractive, but her life revolves around him. Woman B is also attractive, and her own fulfilled life makes him feel completely at ease and suggests they take on an exciting project together. Who represents a more appealing vision for the next 30 years? The choice is clear. Woman B isn't just a better option, she is in a different league. When you're looking for a caretaker, a nurturer, yeah, woman A would be fantastic. But when you've got stuff to do and you're looking for a partner to live life with, she needs to find something to do while you're busy. For too long, women have been fed dating advice that is counterproductive and misleading. It's completely misaligned with the realities of a mature love. You've been told to shrink yourself, play games, or become a caretaker. Today, we leave that advice behind. The path to a good man's heart after 40 isn't about manipulation, it's about a powerful shift in your own orientation. It is about embracing empathetic autonomy. It is about building a life so full that a man is an addition, not a necessity. This is the autonomy. It's the source of your confidence and the signal that you are a partner, not a project. And it's about offering him a safe harbor in a judgmental world. It's listening to understand, not to fix. That is your empathy. Men are fixers, and a lot of times men will listen to people tell them a story about whatever's going on in their life just so that the man can find a way to fix it. But a lot of times, people do not talk about their problems and concerns for you to give them solutions that they're not going to apply. They really just want to express their frustrations to somebody else. Just get it off your chest. Emotional transference. It's the key to unlocking his trust and making him feel truly seen. By practicing radical authenticity, becoming a safe space communicator, and cultivating a shared purpose, you stop being just another woman he's dating. You become his partner, his confidant, and his peace. This journey isn't about changing who you are, it's about becoming more of who you are. The man who is right for you won't be intimidated by your strength, he'll be drawn to it. He won't run from your authentic self, he will find himself home in it. You now have the blueprint, and the next step is going to be yours to take. Now, don't forget to take the time to like and subscribe to the channel. You know, this will be very invaluable tools as you begin to attract mature, committed, and lasting loves that you so richly deserve. Now, tomorrow, we're going to be getting into a larger quantity of shows where we're going to be, well, not large quantity of shows, we're going to be getting into a larger quantity of topics related to this as we lead into next week's topics, where we're going to be talking about the changes in masculinity and what you can do to redefine your masculinity as a man in 2025 market. Remember, after Saturday, we've got our members only shows on Sunday where we're going to be dealing with questions and comments from the fans. And we're going to be talking about some upcoming changes that may have happened over the past few weeks in politics since the credit score fluctuation and the Trump accounts got created. And we will be reminding you guys and updating you guys about what is going on with the TikTok transition as we transition our TikTok platform to the new TikTok platform. We will eventually be going live on TikTok here as well. Uh, Not at this moment, but probably sometime next year once we get our hands on a stream key. If the new platform gives us a stream key out the gate, we'll hit the ground running. But otherwise, we will be postponing the launching onto TikTok for a later date and time. Uh, First of all, what we're going to say, ladies, thank you for coming to the show. As long as the situation doesn't make sense, ladies, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And then, fellas, this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. We got about 68% male followership right now. There's more and more women coming in on a regular basis, taking a look at the show and learning from it. I give you guys this information to help you guys become higher value men and to help you improve your finances as well as your personal life. But ladies, this information is not exclusive to the men. You ladies can take the information that I give to you and you can utilize it to make yourselves higher value women. So today was exclusively about helping the ladies find out what is going through the mindset of the mature man. And if you ladies take this advice and run with it, find yourself more successful in your dating choices. Now, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.